President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama.
Good to see you. I just want to say everybody back home, right back at you. We appreciate you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to introduce you to a young man who has been a congressman for a number of years and good for our communities. He doesn't stop at just his community. He's all over Chicago. People are looking at Danny Davis. We're going to turn you over to the individual who is in charge of all this today to introduce you to the people who are concerned about Danny Davis, Congressman Danny Davis. Thank you.
On the west side, and he has a black wife. Now he could live anywhere, but he chose to stay on the west side. Appreciate that. He's a great representative because he believes in what the peacemakers believe in. That's reparations. That's what this t-shirt is about. Now, Danny sometimes talk about the top 1% on 90% of everything. And 65% of their wealth comes from inheritance. They didn't work to do anything to get it. They just inherited it. And so what we want to do, we're going to have a petition. We'll get it to you, not tonight, but we'll have one where we're going to ask Governor Pritzker, because he didn't work for his money either. He inherited it. We're going to ask him to make black people tax exempt. We shouldn't be paying taxes if we don't have everything we're supposed to have. So, thank you. Shoot clap for that. So, if you know, there's a wealth gap. And in that wealth gap, for every $13 that the poor people have, the rich people have 100. We want to break that down. Okay? Also, really a great thing that Danny Davis did, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, he introduced me to Denise McMullen, who taught me about being a vegetarian, and that changed my life. Thank you. I'm going to call back up West Side Bill.
Okay, I'm going to introduce you all. You all probably know who he is already. He's the Cook County Assessor, Fritz Craig.
Hey, thank you, everybody. I'm Fritz Cagey. I'm your Cook County Assessor, and it's an honor to be Congressman Davis's constituent. He represents me, and I'm endorsed by 12 members of Congress, and I'm the slated candidate for assessor. But Congressman Davis is a member of our congressional delegation that knows more about how broken our property tax system was than any other person in Congress. You see, he has been working in, not only does he have all this deep knowledge between the interconnections between healthcare and education and property taxes and economic development, but Congressman Davis also has been an alderman, has been a county commissioner. He has been in Congress for years, and he understands how things like funding for our schools by Title I helps to take the burden off of property taxes that we all pay. What we just heard from the previous speaker about how Congressman Davis understands economic inequality and wealth, and how black people's wealth is more invested in their homes than any other racial group. And yet it's the most taxed. Isn't that a coincidence that people who have their wealth in stocks and bonds don't pay the tax rates of people who have their wealth invested in homes? But that's why I'm honored to have his support, and I'm really pleased to be here to endorse Danny Davis. As I talked to my neighbors in Oak Park, I talked all over the district. I was born in Michael Reese Hospital on the south side, and I tell people about how important Congressman Davis is for the work that he's done. No one has his energy. Guys, I just want to tell you a story. So Congressman Davis has an event with 24 different ethnic groups. And he has this annual event every year. And each one of these ethnic groups gives a speech like I'm giving to you now. And they give themselves awards. And after each speech, Congressman Davis gave his own speech. And the event was wrapping up at 11:30, and I was saying, Congressman Davis, that was amazing. I'm about to go home to my wife. And he's like, you're not staying for dinner? I've seen Congressman Davis march across the West Side so many times. He's tireless in the work that he does. So I'm just going to leave it at that, give it to the next speaker, and give it back to West Side Bill, and just encourage everyone here to be there for Danny, be there for Congressman Davis in this vital election.
All right, thank you.
Things that a lot of us were afraid to say. And so he didn't look too good. He looked like a Southern man. But his voice was very dynamic. And what he had to say was very informational. So we listened to him. And before he left, we elected him to be a part of Greater Lawndale Conservation Commission to help lead us into the new world. And since that time, I have been working with Danny Davis. I may not look old, but I'm 84. And for most of my adult life, I have worked with Danny Davis, even on the Cook County Board. I was a member of the Cook County Board for many, many years. And Danny came on the board, and I felt a sigh of relief, because I knew things that we needed to get done. Danny was going to speak out about it. And when he spoke, they listened. And I'm here today to lend my support to his continual service. I'm retired. I raised 7 children. Every one of them finished college. And I'm independently supported. My husband and I lived on the West Side for 52 years. And of course, now I have to take another direction because I don't have the energy to do what I used to do. So I now live in Oak Park in a senior home. But I still keep up. I still keep up with what's going on in my community. And I try to financially support my community. And I'm here today to lend my support to my longtime friend, the man with the voice, Danny K. Davis.
My name is Claudia Silva Hernandez. I am punch number 186. I am running for Cook County Judge countywide. What that means is that anybody who lives in Cook County or is registered to vote in Cook County will be able to vote for me in this coming primary. Early voting starts across the county on June 13th. Election day is June 28th. I ask for your support. I am running in a race with 2 other individuals. Whoever gets the most votes will move on to the November general election. Again, my punch number is 186. I have practiced with the state of Illinois as an administrative law judge. I'm endorsed by the Chicago Federation of Labor and many other union support behind me. A little bit about myself. I live in Bronzeville with my 2 children and my husband. My husband is a 24-year union iron worker. And my mom is here with me tonight, and I grew up in the south suburbs in Dalton and also in Flossmoor. So please come out and vote for me, punch number 186. I remember that's my punch. Thank you so much.
I've known Danny since day one. I remember Danny when he wasn't into the politics. And he's always been a very, very, very good person for the people in his community. Always. I've never known him to fault. And I came into Lawndale in 1957, 1311 South Millard, and my family is still there. Okay? And I will be voting for Danny Davis on election.
We're going to have one more person speak, and then we're going to bring up the man of the hour. Balthazar, he'll explain who he is. He's part of the Black and Brown Coalition.
Good evening, everybody. So how was the food? All right, I had a good food today. So I want to thank peacemakers for inviting us to an event like this. As Mexican American, first generation, we're not very knowledgeable on how the system works. We don't really go out and vote. We don't know we have rights. So our community doesn't really know how things work. But we're learning because we know people like Mr. Odom, we know Westside Bill, and they're teaching us.
All right.
Amen, right? So we're learning. And thanks to them, we met them through the Adams Toledo campaign. I don't know if you remember Adams Toledo. So we didn't know how to organize a campaign of when they killed a child, a police officer killed a child. So they taught us how to fight the campaign. St. Agatha opened their door to us, and we began the campaign. In our community, they said, you know what, they kicked that gun, I'm sorry, they shut the door on us. Because we don't know. Again, it's, ignorance, but we're learning though. So we went to St. Agatha in the black community, they said, we've been through this. So they already knew how the process worked. So it took us 16 days of straight protesting for this for these tapes. But it was this unity that we had. And that really put fear in the government because they saw black and brown working together. And they really got scared. So they didn't want that. They don't want that type of beef. Because if we unite, we're very powerful. So if we continue working on our same issues but finding solutions, then we can become a community that, I think Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. Well, let's live that dream. Let's be that dream. So we could then actually show our generations that we should not be scared of each other. Chicago is one of the most segregated cities. So we need to stop being scared of each other and saying hi to each other. It's not that hard, trust me. We have tacos, we have a lot of, we have a lot of good stuff. They used to come to our neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? So, Mexican food very good. So, we want to share our culture with you guys and learn from your culture also. But the important thing is to stop being afraid of each other. We're not bad people. We're the same. So, I'm almost like a little lighter. That's about it. We're almost the same color. So, a little about Danny Davis. Danny Davis is also one of our congressmen in Little Village. And in Little Village, they were going to close down the post office on 23rd and Pulaski. Now, we Mexicans and immigrants, our post office is important because we send items to our families back in Mexico. So, if you take this type of communication between our families, then you're taking that essence that we have with our families. So we call on Danny Davis, and he has a little portion, not a big portion. And we call on Congressman Chuy Garcia. We had a meeting. Chuy Garcia didn't send anyone, but Danny Davis did. Thanks to Danny Davis, we kept our post office, and to this day, we're still able to send items back and forth from Mexico. And when you travel so far, and you don't have the stuff that you have at home, but they send it to you, because you travel. Immigrants travel. And sometimes you just want to feel like you're home. And when they send those items through the mail, man, you get happy because there's certain fruits that you don't eat here, they don't have them here, or certain things. So, the post office is important to us. Danny Davis is the person that really you should vote for, is the person that you should support, because he has proven, he has a track record, and he's not one of those persons that just serves one community. He serves all the communities. So yes, Danny Davis is the man that we should support. I thank him for supporting our community. I thank him for defending our post office, and thanks to him we have that post office. So again, thank you, Danny Davis.
Let's give it a round of applause. I want to introduce my good friend, Philip, the owner of the Butter Bath Car Wash. So, anyway, like I said, is there any more food over there? To give away? Well, let's go get it. But anyway, I'm gonna ask one more question, and then Danny Davis is gonna come up. I want all the peacemakers to stand up, please. All the peacemakers stand. Okay, the peacemakers is a coalition. It's not an organization. We deal with schools, churches, block clubs, different organizations, individuals. Now, everyone in here should have stood up and said they was a peacemaker, because what we're doing, we just want to support what goes on in the community. That's all it is. We're not asking you to come to a meeting or anything of that nature. We just ask when you give an event, or there's an event present that the peacemaker is in charge of some type of way, just come and give your support. That's the only thing we ask. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna introduce the man of the hour, Danny Davis.
The Peacemakers is one of the most unique groups I've ever encountered. They just kind of search around for good things to do. And whatever they figure is a good thing to do, that's what they do. They organize in the community. They meet. They engage with community development. They engage with providing leadership to young children, boys especially. And so I congratulate them. I commend them. They are some of the most interesting people. They walk around like they don't know much, but they are historians. They are leaders. And so I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Let me also thank all of you for taking time from the many different things that one could be doing on a Sunday afternoon, evening, especially those who like basketball. I'm a Boston Celtic fan, and I go way back. Well, that's because I became a Boston Celtic fan when there were no Warriors. There were no Warriors. So I couldn't have been a Warrior fan back then. I'm a Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, Bill Sherman, Jim Lusker guy. This goes way back. So with all the Warriors, my homeboy though is the director of security for the Warriors. Come from Stuttgart, Arkansas. Stuttgart, Arkansas. Let me also thank the people that I've known. First television show I ever was on was W.L. Lillard, and that must have been, Lord have mercy. I was on there with Billy Eckstein. W.L. had a show on Channel 26, and he used to own the big theater on the west side. He used to own the joint down there by Mario's across the street. Had the Lon Chaney Trio would be in there playing. And so W.L. go way back until some caught him and he moved over to the south side. Started playing around in the south suburbs. He was the chief of police twice that I know about. He was the chief of police for the village of Maywood, and he was the chief of police for the village of Phoenix, Illinois. And he was an assistant to the sheriff of Cook County over at the county jail. He developed this hobby of playing around with cameras and developing television shows. I think I knew him even before I knew Bobby Steele. So WL, thank you for being my friend all those many years. President Bobby Steele and I go back, as she mentioned, to the late 1960s and early 1970s. We were the kind of young neophytes with the civic group, the Greater Lawndale Conservation Commission. And little did I know that my son would end up falling in love with Bobby's husband, about the one man that I knew that my son just liked other than me. It was Bobby's husband, who was his boss at work. And every time I see him, he's going to tell me about Mr. Steele, Mr. Steele. So he really had a great feeling for Mr. Steele. So Mr. Steele cooked barbecue for us, invited me over for barbecue, and so and so and so and so. So the Davis family and the Steele family, because Bobby and I came through changing politics in the community where we both lived. Bobby was not only a community leader and activist, but she was also an educator before we decided to run for public office. We were both educators. We were both school teachers, public school teachers. I also want to thank Lil Field. Now you want to know why can I say Lil Field? What has probably got me in office and kept me in office is just knowing different kind of people. The first grocery store I ever set foot in Chicago was Lil Field's grandfather's store. It was Big Bear on Roosevelt Road. Then, of course, Field's daddy also was an entrepreneur, and that was Buddy Bear. And then this is Lil Bear. This is Lil Field, who have these car wash places all over Cook County, anywhere you go. But he has always been a strong supporter of the community. That is, in our community, you have block club parties, you have church banquets, you have everything that people can have. And everybody's always looking for donations. See, the one thing about me, I tell it for real, the way it is. I don't sugarcoat it, because I speak the truth. And the truth is the light, and the light is foundation. And know ye the truth, and the truth will set you free. So everybody that's got a thing, come around for donations. Whatever is gonna, lady call me today and ask me if I would give her some money to buy her a pair of shoes and a dress to go to her son's graduation. He's graduating from the 8th grade. And I really wanted to say, you know, you got a lot of nerve. And that's because I had just bought her son. He didn't have no outfit. So I bought him a blazer, and 2 pair of slacks, and 2 shirts. That way you could change up. You know, if you got a blazer, you wear a blue blazer with some light slacks today. Then next time you wear it a little darker. And you still didn't have, and see, they got 2 events. One is the luncheon, and then the graduation. So I bought that. So I guess she figured since I bought her son something, that I may as well get her son too. And so people come to Littlefield outfits, businesses all the time, asking for donations. I know they do. 'Cause I know what goes on in the community where I live and do my work. And he gives to a lot of things. You give him a donation. And that's good. It's good for business. And it's good to be a part of the community where you do your business. Give back to it. I'm not suggesting that that's what businesses have to do, but I am suggesting that that's what he does. And I know that's what he does, so I appreciate him for that. And so I think of him as a friend. Now to politics, let me just say 2 words about politics. Politics, when you define it, is nothing more than what you want. You either are a part of making decisions, or decisions will be made for you. And whether you like it or not, decisions are going to get made. Just like when it clouds up and lighting and all, possibly it's going to rain. And whether you're standing outside, it's going to rain. Whether you're standing inside, it's going to rain. Whether you got an umbrella or not, it's going to rain. So whether you participate in some things, they're going to happen anyway. The voting looks like it's going to be very light in this election, based upon people who've early voted. Not many people have early voted, which means that there are a lot of people who don't even know there's an election. I'll be willing to bet you 25 or 30% of the people in Cook County as much money as the candidates for governor are spending, blowing up the airwaves. There are a lot of people who really don't know that there's an election. How do I know? They tell me they don't. I want to thank my phone bankers who've been making phone calls and all. And I bet you they can tell you that they call a lot of people who don't know that there's going to be an election. Yes. They just don't know. Yes. And so the best thing we can really do is try and communicate to people between now and the 28th. I could tell you about all the good stuff I do. Matter of fact, I'll be at the White House on Tuesday because the president is signing one of my bills. And when they sign one of your bills, they often will invite you to come and stand there while the president signs it. Well, we got a bill that I introduced in the House. Senator Durbin introduced it in the Senate. It passed both the House and the Senate. Amen. And the president signed it on Tuesday. So we'll do that. That ain't the only time I've been to the White House. Been to the White House a lot of times. Quite a few, because I've had quite a few bills signed. We're getting ready to celebrate Juneteenth, national holiday. I was there when the president signed nothing. Why was I there? Because I was actively engaged in the process of getting it passed. And so on the 19th, we're going to celebrate. On the 20th, we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate Illinois, then we're going to cut a bunch of ribbons later on. because Illinois got $19 billion. $19 billion from the infrastructure bill. Matter of fact, I've been having to dodge potholes and, make sure you don't run over something. Well, much of that stuff is going to be fixed. And it's going to be fixed because of the work that those of us in the legislature pass to get a bill to the president. And when Tiny was talking about taxation, I serve on the committee that write the taxes for the United States of America. I serve on the Ways and Means Committee. It was the first committee that they put in when they wrote the Constitution. And it just means what it says. All these great program ideas that people have, you have to figure out how do you pay for it. You said, we're going to build some new houses. How you going to pay for them? We're going to build another hospital. How are we going to pay for it? Well, that's what our function is to figure out how to pay for whatever it is that the government say it's going to do. And that's why they claim that it's the most important committee in the House of Representatives. Not only do I serve on it, but I am number 7 in rank in it. And the way rank works, if you got the most seniority, you're the first table that gets food. Then you number 2, you're the next table. You number 3, you number 4. Even when you get ready to speak, they got rules. So the first person who speaks in a meeting is the person who's been there the longest. Then the next person who speaks is the person who's been there the second longest. Then the third person, right down the line. So in legislative bodies, seniority is very important. Of course, the person who is my opponent doesn't have any seniority and won't have any seniority. And if she got elected, she'd be the last one after everybody else got through to say what she wanted to say. It's called being a rookie, a beginner. I was talking to a group of preachers, people at church, and I said, would you elect somebody to be the pastor who ain't never been the assistant, ain't never been in the choir,
Teach.
may not ever been to church? Because you can read, know what to say. You don't have to be done none of it. And so, thank all of you. Thank you, Bill. You're a very creative, inspirational guy. Comes up with ideas. Because if it hadn't been for you and the peacemakers, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably be watching television doing something else. I am supporting Fritz Casey. But I want you to know also, earlier today, the person who's running against him is also running, dear friend of mine, matter of fact, a family. Her grandmother used to run with us. I worked in healthcare for many years, as did her grandmother for many years. Her father and I have been friends. We served in the city council together. I also helped him get elected when he ran for judge. But you have to understand politics is more. My last point is there are a lot of people, they take politics the way they do sex. They say, all you gotta do is grow up and you'll know what to do. Politics ain't quite like that. I mean, you have to study it a little bit and understand it a little bit. And you still need to grow up, but you learn that there are some ways and approaches that helps you get the most out of it. Help it work for you if you know as much about what you ought to do at different times. And so I want to thank Reverend Paul Jakes, who's coordinating activity with our ministers. Also, Paul and I have been running together a little bit since he was about 14 or 15 years old. He was a teenage activist, and now he's just an older activist, but still an activist. So it is indeed a pleasure. It's a wonderful experience to be with people who are just everyday, ordinary, regular people trying to get the best out of life for themselves while trying to make the world a better place in which to live. God bless you all. And thank you so much. And Bill, right on.
Danny don't have to thank me. I thank Danny for letting me be in his president. But anyway, I think he's a great man. Anyway, about 3 years ago, we was working on a Save Our Mental Health centers, and Danny and all of them had me come up and speak. I thought they were going to have to get a bucket on the mouth because I was, at that time, I had a lot of stage fright. I still have a little, but I'm getting better. In a few minutes, you probably have to put a muzzle on me because I do a lot of talking. But anyway, food and music and conversation goes together. So what we're gonna do, we had the food, we had some conversation, we have conversation coming, and at the present time, what we're going to do, we're going to do a little music to get you on your feet. So we're going to have Fatima and her team come out and do their thing.